So I actually started off by myself talking to the camera, and kind of if you dig down into my Instagram, you'll find videos of me doing from thought to question. That was kind of the premise of the show. There's a little bit of insecurity there. Like, I don't think people care, and stuff like that. There's a lot of insecurity about that because of my past traumas. I was very fearful of the world. I would even look outside my window and be fearful that somebody's looking at me. Like, it was bad. I didn't know how, but I knew I needed to change. So I moved back to Raleigh, and I kind of got introduced to The Secret, which, if you don't know, it's kind of like a documentary movie talking about the law of attraction. And so that kind of took me into a rabbit hole of how I can utilize the law of attraction to my benefit. I recommend every single woman, girl, to do jiu-jitsu. It's just something for self-defense, and it's a great way to do it. And 98% of fights end up on the ground. Yeah. So people who say that, hey, I don't want to learn jiu-jitsu because I'm not going to use that in a street fight. Well, street fights end up on the ground mostly. Yeah. So you got to learn how to navigate that.
But I think art is essential, and it should be taught at every single level, because I think art is exactly what transforms trauma into something beautiful.
Yeah. There's always a fork in the road.
Yeah. You
could either help you grow better in a positive way, or you could let that trauma affect you in a negative way, and down you go. What gets you out of the comfort zone will make you grow in life. And we're here to not just create, but we're here to live the best life that we can. There's so much that people can do in this world before we leave this earth into a different realm.
It can happen at any time. It's crazy.
Everything happens for a reason. Everything is temporary. So take advantage of life.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to an episode of TAOL Podcast Global. Today, we are very happy because we have a very interesting guest. A guest who is not only a guest, is also a host. So that's going to be an adventure for both of us. Today, we have here Oliver Riera.
Hello.
How are you, Oliver?
I'm good, man. Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, taking the time to, spend a few minutes, hours, or whatever days. If you want to, we
Right.
can go on over this conversation for as long as you wish.
Sure.
Especially because I see that beautiful shirt that says storyteller.
Yeah, I'm a storyteller. I got this as a gift. Somebody gave it to me. They were on my podcast. Shout out to Sana from Get to Know Raleigh. She was on my podcast, and we were sharing our stories together, and she realized that I'm a storyteller. I love sharing my story and stuff like that. So, and other people's story. That's kind of what my podcast is all about.
Telling stories is super important, right? I think that's one of the things I personally believe that AI can't take from us. And I think the way we tell it is very important and unique, in particular unique.
Not just it can't take our story, but it can't take the emotions, the feelings behind those stories too, that make us grow as a person.
So, Oliver, can you tell us a little bit more about what you do, how you do it, why you do it, and where you do it? Because we are in a particular geographical, strategic place.
Yeah.
And why don't you tell us more about what you do?
So, I used to be called, I think I still am called, the Renaissance guy, someone who does a lot of different things. So I first of all, I have my own podcast called Inspired Voices. I talk to entrepreneurs and business owners about their journey, their strategies that they have in what they do to help other people. And so I have that, but I'm also a photographer. I'm a videographer. I'm an audio engineer. And I feel like I'm a musician too. Yeah. I played music for most of my life and stuff like that. So how I got into all of those things?
Yeah, why not? Because I mean, it seems like it is a lot, right?
It is. Yeah.
Are you also like a NASCAR car racer, or have you?
You know what? I have told people that I feel like I was a NASCAR driver in my past life. You know what I mean? Because the way I drive and stuff, it's fun. I don't know.
It is. I mean, cars are I mean, if they didn't want us to enjoy a car, like they would put like a stopper, like a limit
Yeah,
installed in the car. But cars
exactly.
and motorcycles are made to enjoy a little bit of that adrenaline. We all need a tiny bit of adrenaline every now and then.
And the speed limit, I mean, as far as cars go, you could go 100 miles an hour. That's the limit.
Yeah.
So let's go to the limit.
Yeah. And these electric cars, they go like crazy. Have you been on an electric car?
No, I want to, but I've seen how they could go really fast.
Yeah.
But they sound like spaceships.
Exactly. It's like going on a roller coaster, like the time they take to accelerate is just crazy. Like 2 seconds, 3 seconds to get like 60 miles per hour. That's
wild.
insane.
I've never ridden a roller coaster before. So.
Oh, no?
Nah, I've never been to an amusement park.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so that always shocks everybody. It's like, what? But yeah, no, never really had the opportunity to do that.
I'm actually taking notes on that because I want to hear more about that. So you have like multiple disciplines, right?
Yeah.
Which one do you invest most of your time, or where are you finding most of the satisfaction right now, right? Because, I mean, I guess it goes on stages. Like at some point in your life, you enjoyed music more than you enjoyed photography. What is exactly what you're doing right now where you are spending most of your time?
Say most of my time was probably going to be the podcast and playing the congas. I would say martial arts is kind of mixed into that. Even though I'm not taking a martial arts class right now, I will soon be. And with my workouts, I kind of incorporate exercises that have to do with martial arts.
What do you think? What's the unique message that your podcast is providing to people?
It's providing different perspectives. So my guest is a different person. Everybody has their own perspective. And I feel like it's important to understand different perspectives in order to understand the people around you. And in that way, because we're all community-based, we're all love-based. And so the more perspectives that we get to understand, the more we're able to live a better life and change a life.
Yeah. Yeah. And the way I think about that also is listening to people is kind of adding more tools to your toolbox and give you like a different perspective, right?
Yep. It really is, man. I find that to be true because I think I've done, 75 episodes and 100 if you count when I started like 7 years ago. But so many different people have come through and they're sharing their story and I learned so much, like recently we did Motherhood Unfiltered, where we talk to not just a mom, but a therapist that is a mom and that works with mothers.
Yeah.
So we get to understand the mindset of a mom. And then I did Fatherhood with Jamon Glover, who's an author, a speaker, and he talked about, he has his own company, Fatherhood, Father Figure Institute, where he teaches fathers how to be better fathers and stuff like that. And so I learned so much just on those two together.
Yeah.
But I get all sorts of people coming through and I feel like it makes me a better person, but it's not to say that I'm better than everybody else, but like, it's really humbling to meet these people and understand their perspective.
What do you think about that word you just said, humble? What does that mean to
I think humble means that you have vulnerability, that you have humility, which is very important and very hard to do with a lot of people. And I think you have a sense of, what's that word? Empathy.
Okay, yeah.
You have a sense of empathy and sympathy for other people.
Yeah.
I think that's where humbleness comes from.
From like understanding, way more than understanding, right? Like empathy is not just understanding. Empathy goes beyond that.
Empathy connects you to the emotion and feeling behind it.
Yeah.
And so I think for me, that's important to have.
Yeah. And I asked that question because one of the interesting parts of what I observe, like all the multiple disciplines that you have developed and talking to different people, that talks a lot about flexibility, right? And flexibility in so many different ways, like even in martial arts, flexibility on your body. But in particular on the brain. The brain spends a lot of time making our body survive. And for that reason, it has to build efficient ways for us to function. And one of those ways is just to stick with what you learned in the past. It's challenging to change your perspective of things because our brain is designed for efficiency. Well, the brain doesn't really want to spend energy like changing who we are. But when it's like a muscle, if you are constantly exercising, if you are working out your brain, which you do in all the multiple disciplines that you engage, but also you do that kind of workout with the different talks that you host on your podcast, talking to different people, learning, developing that empathy.
Yeah.
I think that talks about a very flexible brain in many different ways.
Absolutely. I mean, one of the reasons if we're talking from a selfish perspective, one of the reasons I love to do it is because communication doesn't come easy for me. I had to learn how to communicate. At 24, I changed my life. And I went from a completely negative person to a completely positive person. And it was such a big change that at 180, it was like, what? That's crazy. But what were we talking about? It was something. Oh shit, I lost my thought. Communication, yeah?
Yeah.
So that's one of the reasons why I love doing the podcast is because it trains that mindset of learning how to communicate. And it's like an exercise. I'm talking and talking and talking, listening, and it's just, it works that muscle in the brain.
Yeah. So Inspired Voices is the name of your podcast.
Yes.
And that's how people can find you.
Yeah, Inspired Voices Podcast. It's on all podcast platforms, including YouTube.
YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts,
Google Podcasts, whatever.
Yeah, I've heard a few episodes, and I think it's very interesting. In particular, it's local, and I think that's great because I do believe in building community, and I feel that that's kind of your priorities too. Correct me if I'm saying something crazy, but
right. Well, I mean, I do like that it's local because it does build a community. At the same time, I'm not opposed to doing it outside of the community either. But my thing is, I wanted to do it in person. I don't want to do it online.
Exactly.
I feel like that's the difference.
Yeah. Yeah, because I think we experienced this time around COVID where everybody and everything was happening online. And it has some advantages. Yes, that's true. Like I can work wearing like my pajamas, for example. But that personal aspect is key. And we can see nowadays a lot of mental challenges for people because we need that human interaction on a daily basis, basically.
Yeah,
right?
We really do. Yeah, absolutely.
Now, how did you come up with the idea of the podcast? Like, what was happening in your mind, and what was that trigger for you to start a podcast?
So I actually started off by myself talking to the camera, and kind of if you dig down into my Instagram, you'll find videos of me doing from thought to question. That was kind of the premise of the show. Talk about something and then something thought provoking, like a topic, and then at the end I ask a question. Like, what do you think about it, or something, like whatever it is. I felt like I wanted to grow much. Also, there was a little bit of insecurity there. Like, I don't think people care, and stuff like that. There's a lot of insecurity about that because of my past traumas.
Yeah.
And so, well, if nobody cares about what I have to say, then maybe I'll share other people's stories. And so that's kind of where that started off from the beginning. And it grew into something so much bigger than just that.
Yeah. So you also mentioned that you were like a shy person and you were working on communication. Did that happen just like instantly? Like one day you just woke up and said like, I got to work on my communication. I'm going to put a camera in front of me and start talking. Was that a process?
I have to tell a story in order for context. So when I was, like I said, I was 24. I changed my life, negative to positive. When I was negative, I was not talking to anyone. My best friend would call me to hang out. Like, oh, no, I'm okay. I was very fearful of the world. Yeah. I would even look outside my window and be fearful that somebody's looking at me. Like, it was bad. My lease was running up, and I just knew that I needed to change. I didn't know how, but I knew I needed to change. So I moved back to Raleigh, and I kind of got introduced to The Secret, which, if you don't know, it's like kind of like a documentary movie talking about the law of attraction. Right? And so that kind of took me into a rabbit hole of how I can utilize the law of attraction to my benefit. And with that, I ended up meeting my neighbor who was playing in bands, and he was also a pickup artist. I don't know if you know what a pickup artist is, but it's someone who is trained to go and pick up people, like girls at the bar or anything like that. I was at a point in my life where I knew that I needed to communicate. And when he told me that and he told me about it, I was like, that would be a great way to learn how to communicate with people, how to go up to somebody and have a conversation, a stranger, right? No matter if they're in a group or if they're solo. And so that's how I took it. I learned how to be a pickup artist, and it's not one of those things where like, oh, so you went around and got a lot of numbers, huh? Yeah. Got a lot of ladies. No, I didn't take it like that. There was a few situations where I ended up taking somebody else's girl. Not in the sense of like I slept with her or anything like that, just having a good time with them. That's all. And so, yeah, it kind of like went down from there. It went from there to then I was like, then I got introduced to improv, which was, I can't remember how I got introduced to improv. I think it was one of those things where I was looking at the TV, I was watching a movie, and I was like, why can't I be in front of the camera instead of behind the camera? And then that's when I started doing research and taking improv classes.
And do you think like that fear, I never heard of this concept of a pickup artist. It's the first time I hear about it.
There was a reality show about it back in the days.
Interesting.
Yeah. My one of my friends is a pickup artist, and he taught people how to do it too, and he was one of my teachers. He's also a doctor and a hypnotist as well. Like he went over, I got invited a lot by him to go to the Playboy Mansion back in the days. I just needed $1,000, but he was teaching a workshop at the Playboy Mansion for the weekend, for people to learn how to do a pickup artist.
And before you engage in this type of learning, you mentioned that you were a little fearful. What was that fear about? Like, was that coming from interacting with other people and other people like maybe not liking you, or where was that coming from?
Yeah, that was, I mean, if you want to go down to the root of it, it's because of how I grew up.
Okay.
I love my dad now. He's the best dad ever. And we get along so good. But when I was little, it wasn't that wasn't the case. I never got any praise. I never got I love yous or hugs or anything like that. The only communication I would have with my dad is I did something wrong, what I could do better, all these negative things. And so that is like, oh my God, that trained my body and my mind to be like, don't mess up. People don't look for help, because that's one of the other things he said is like, don't ask people for help. You do it yourself. And so it was hard for me to ask for help growing up. So that's kind of where it came from, is that fear.
Do you think that helped you eventually, like, because sometimes that kind of discipline helps people develop like very good products, for example, right? Do you think that kind of discipline helped you somehow?
Like that
interaction,
fear?
like being perfectionist or getting that feedback from your dad?
Yeah. It's a double-edged sword. I will say yes and no. Yes, in a sense of I know what that regiment is like, the perfection regiment, but you have to balance it out.
Absolutely.
Right? In a healthy way.
Yeah, that's what I feel life is about, right? Like balancing out all this stuff.
Yeah.
Because certainly life isn't just like butterflies, rainbows, and unicorns. Like it can be a very dark place too.
Yeah.
And I think the conversations that you engage with other people is exactly that. Like what happened through their lives, how can other people associate or identify with that story, and how other people manage to come out of that scenario successfully from what they did is something I can also do.
Exactly, man. That's exactly why I started the podcast. How can I help someone else not go through what I went through?
So you have how many episodes now? Like about 100, you said?
I mean, I started season 1 like 7-8 years ago. It was with my phone and stuff like that. I did one season. I think I did like maybe 23, 25. And then I stopped for like years. Yeah. And then I picked it back up 2 years ago and did like, now I'm on the 7th season starting in September.
Nice.
Yeah. So I did, probably around, from the 2 years, I probably have around like 75. Yeah. So somewhere around there. I can't remember.
And I get that every episode is going to be unique, right? Every single story is different. Was there any particular story that you identified the most with?
I mean, I think talking to fighters, martial artists, I should say. And yeah, I think maybe martial artists. I can't remember all of it right now, but it's really the people who have a deep level of understanding of life that is the most exciting to talk about.
To me, they have a very specific personality and usually life story too. I believe that fighters are kind of genetically specific.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying because they are like super strong or they have big muscles or anything like that or they are super flexible. No. I think a fighter develops over time and develops through the lessons they learned in life. And I think, I may be wrong, but I think when we see a very good fighter in different disciplines, can be boxing, can be MMA, can be anything, they have a very unique life story full of challenges. And what I've learned is that they overcome these kind of challenges through fighting, and fighting actually feeds from their past experiences. What do you think about that? What has been your experience with them?
Yeah, I think you're spot on pretty much. As I did MMA for 3 years, I did boxing for 2 years, and I did it a lot to the point where I was teaching myself. So when I talk to fighters, I love the mentality of a fighter because I get that perspective of, when you're fighting by yourself. You're not fighting with a team. And it's all on you. And it's not just that, but you're really testing what is going to be your natural reaction to things. And that is a great example of what life could be. Love life, right? We test ourselves and stuff like that. So the mentality of a fighter is someone who, the mentality of a good fighter is someone who understands that it's not about fighting. It's about the mentality of fighting. And that takes them far.
It takes mental endurance for sure.
Yeah, it really does. That's,
Yeah.
I mean, that's one of the reasons, again, why I got into martial arts, is because I never been in a street fight and I don't know what I would do, what my natural reaction is. So it took me quite a few years to, get good on my stand-up. I was always really good in jiu-jitsu. But it builds a sense of confidence.
Oh, yeah.
Especially with kids and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But anyone who does martial arts knows that it builds confidence. And if you're a shy person, if you're closed off from the world, that is a way to build confidence yourself.
Do you think that bullies usually they don't know how to fight? And
Yeah.
Because I feel that people who know how to fight, like they don't usually use
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. That's true. That's true. I would say, I don't want to say 100%, but I definitely want to say like 98% of actual fighters do not get in street fights. They aren't bullies, because they understand that fighting is a discipline and it's not to be taken lightly.
And I think the clear example is that if you go to a gym, any type of gym, like again, boxing, MMA, or whatever, they usually have good communities. They usually hang out with each other. They respect each other. They get on the ring. They fight. They practice some sparring, and that's it, right? They understand that that's it. And I think that's very important. I think the point I wanted to get is that mentality that you're talking about, right? About fighters and how that, I don't know how I'm gonna get from this, but have you seen this tendency of famous people getting into boxing and arranging fights?
Yeah.
I understand that's entertainment, but I don't think that really represent the spirit of a fighter or the sport in general.
Right.
What do you think about that?
I mean, I think with some fighters, like Mickey Rourke was a boxer before. I think he did it for good reasons. I mean, he had a lot of anger issues back in the days and stuff like that. But boxing, I feel like, probably helps him. I don't know his story that well. What I would say is, some people do it for ego, right? There is a lot of ego in there as well. It could be.
Yeah.
And if you're doing it for the ego, then that's it's not going to last long. I'll say that. It might do some good, like for your, like, money wise and stuff like that. But in the long run, it's probably not going to do good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm paying attention to Jake Paul right now because maybe I rushed to criticize or make a judgment about that guy. For me, he was just a YouTuber who was trying to find more money or more success into introducing this type of switch from YouTuber to a boxer. But now I can see that he's been paying a lot of effort and time. And I think he's embracing the type of training.
Yeah.
Again, I'm not 100% convinced, but I think like I should wait a little bit. I think they are doing a great job on the strategy because they found fighters that were willing and they were in need for those fights.
Yeah. It's very I don't know. It's like a mix, you know? It's like, yeah, you got this thing where Jake Paul's in Puerto Rico and he's taking advantage of the tax laws and stuff like that, you know.
Yeah.
But then you have like he puts on fights that opens up the community, the Puerto Rican community. So like it's good, it's bad, it's good, it's bad. It's like you know, I don't know.
In Mexico, that's where I'm from. They started doing something like that. Like YouTubers got on on the ring to fight, but they planned out that maybe with 3 months in advance, 6 months in advance, no proper training. For me, that's pure entertainment, right? And that's the part that I'm against, because what a true boxer, and I'm just focused on boxing because that's where I'm closer to.
Sure.
The type of training, the type of life, the type of challenges they face, I don't think is kind of isn't fair. It isn't fair to just portray someone because of how famous they are. I think people who have been fighting since they were 10, 12 years old, I think they deserve that respect for what they have gone through life.
Yeah, it is a little bit of a disrespect when you're not training, you're just putting on shows, and it's just a bunch of people who don't know how to fight are fighting. It's a little bit of a disrespect to the sport. At the same time, maybe through those fights that they get humbled. And you get knocked out, you're going to get knocked out.
Now that you mentioned that, I don't know why I thought about this, but have you seen these videos of fake martial arts?
Yeah.
Like when I'm bored, like I watch those things.
Right.
It's just ridiculous.
Yes, yeah, for sure. I don't understand people who actually like take those classes. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, do you want to punch the air and then knock someone out? I don't get it.
There was a cartoon I used to watch, Dragon Ball. I think it was famous here too.
So yeah.
I don't know if that was like a lot.
Oh yeah, maybe the inspiration to it.
Yeah, exactly. Like a lot of anime. I used to love anime. You're also a videographer and a photographer. I don't know anything about any of those. But what inspired you to get to photography and videography? Was it through movies or?
I don't think it was through movies. Honestly, I've always loved taking pictures, but I never had like a professional camera, you know? And so it's not until I don't know how I got into it partly because I'm in the industry, I'm in the AV industry. So like, but that's more like corporate work and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But then like seeing a shot, right? How can I make this shot better? How can I improve this shot? How can I make a living out of this and stuff like that? That really just kind of like, I was interested about it, the whole aspect of creating something that looks beautiful on camera, I guess you could say, is where it stems from.
And with that, I don't know if you've seen the recent commercials. Some companies start adopting a lot of AI. Some companies, they have produced commercials, full AI, no human intervention. Do you think that's the way the industry will go in the future? Or is there a way for people to kind of defend that as artistic side of producing videos?
Yeah, I mean, as far as right now, AI is already being used on a professional level. Not just paint me this picture, whatever. So, when you're talking about AI, I use AI sometimes in Photoshop. I want to remove a background, it's just easier.
Yeah.
So in those aspects, yes, it's going to be a lot easier. It's going to be a lot faster to produce photos. But as far as in the future and stuff like that, where it's going to go, it's going to probably get, AI is probably going to get really, really even better than what it is right now. But I feel like there still needs to be somebody behind the computer to tweak things, right? Maybe not exactly what they wanted. So tweak things and to make sure it's what they want.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, humans are still needed.
Yeah.
But for sure, it's gonna. I mean, I just want to be realistic. It's gonna cut a lot of the jobs for sure in many different industries, not only on entertainment and video production across the board.
Yeah.
Lawyers, right? Like AI is taking a very important part in surgeries, for example.
Yeah.
AI can predict sicknesses or like a cancer with more accuracy than a human, and it's way faster. So when it's about efficiency, I think is good. I think we just need to be careful in how we use it.
Yeah.
But the other day I was doing, it has a function called deeper research. And I think it's across the different type of AIs that are in the market. And with this deep research, this tool can go to many different sites. And it produces like a whole paper on the research you want to do. I didn't have time to read the thing. And it asked me, do you want me to produce a podcast style with this information? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to give it a shot. And it actually produced two voices, and they were having a conversation. And they were playing kind of ping pong with this research paper.
Right.
The guy's voice was kind of leading the research. It was like, we found this information. And then the lady's voice was asking the questions, and it felt very natural. Maybe it's going to take the podcast industry at some point.
I think it will. I mean, maybe not fully, but it's going to affect it somehow.
Yeah.
Especially when you're talking about companies who don't know anything about photography, don't know anything about videography. They think that the phone is a lot better quality than a professional $10,000 camera or something like that. Those people are definitely going to be utilizing AI, and they're going to be like, oh, that's good. Even though from someone else, like, I mean, it looks a little plasticky, right? Like that person looks a little plasticky.
Yeah.
And so you could tell it's like fake and stuff like that. But to them, great.
There was a bank, again, I think it was Santander. And here we can say any name because we don't monetize. So we can talk about anything.
Oh, yeah.
But this bank, Santander, they produced an AI video. And then someone was paying attention. And it was a scene where the people were on a boat, I think, or at the beach. It was in the ocean.
Yeah.
And someone pointed out, wow, is that woman topless? And the AI, and I don't know how they missed, I don't even know if they missed it on purpose or not. Yeah. But on the video, like one of the little tiny humans that were in the background was topless. So that tells a lot of things, right? Like AI can still make mistakes, as you said, and you still need human intervention. I think for now, people should take that as a tool. And I think this is why the things that you do are important, right? Especially, and we come back to kind of what we were talking about in the beginning, like that human connection, the human interaction, right? That's something that AI is far away from taking from us, if ever, right? Because you will need like a lot of biological interactions, right? Because our emotions and everything are chemicals in the brain and in the body, like interacting. But I think building that human connection is going to be one of the key aspects for this transition, and where we are trying to interact with it.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, I think I just heard something like trying to put something out where the robot actually has feelings now and stuff like that. So I don't know how far away it is, but I don't think it's almost like the beginning of that phase, right? So it's going to be a long time, maybe, before we get to that. I don't know. I'm not. AI is pretty fast, so I'm not sure.
Did you ever watch the movie Her?
I think I watched part of it, but I get the premise of it.
I think it's about that, like a computer, like a person falling in love with a computer.
Yeah. And there's actually a program like that now, I believe, where it's like you can make friends with an AI. And just talk about your day.
Exactly. The robot can text you and ask how you're doing. It's crazy.
Yeah. You got to be careful with that because you don't know what it's going to say, and it could say the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And I think that's where the mistake of AI is right now, is someone who say suicidal and then they talk about their problems and stuff like that. AI could say something that could trigger a trauma inside of you, if you're not careful.
Absolutely.
And so that's where that's why we still need humans now.
A lot of people, I heard that a lot of people are using AI as a therapist, asking a bunch of questions. Oliver, what's coming next for your project, for your podcast, or all the things that you're doing?
I just want to continue growing the podcast, get more engagement, maybe grow that. Because I know that the more people that listen to it, it'll help more people, and that's kind of what I'm looking for. That's why I want the engagement. I don't want it because of the likes, the follows, and all that stuff. I want it because of the engagement of maybe this episode helps somebody. And the more people see it, the more there's going to be somebody or multiple people who it would help.
Yeah.
So that's kind of the goal for podcasts. And I'm always keeping my mind open with new techniques, new strategies and stuff like that. So I'm not the type of person that just, okay, I'm doing this and that's what I'm doing. That's it.
Yeah.
You have to be fluid. You have to flow with the times and with technology and with society.
I think this is a time in history where we stop sharing memes and we start sharing content with value.
Yeah.
Like the type of things that you're doing. And I think what people don't understand as of now, but maybe after some time they will, is that sharing the type of content that you do is actually helping others. And I think that's key. Very ancient practices, right? Because I used to practice a lot of meditation. Some of the premises is, if we talk about karma, for example,
Sure.
right? When you help others, like some things will come to you, but you shouldn't be doing that from that point of view. Like, oh, if I'm
Right.
help you, it's going to be good for me.
Right.
I think when you lose that interest in your self-benefit and you truly do it from your heart and you truly want to help others, that's where that starts working. The karma starts producing the magic.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. And there was a time, there's going to be times where it's hard because you're not seeing growth and stuff like that. That happened to me just a few months ago. It waves and flows, there's ebbs and flows. When, just a few months ago, I was like, do I continue doing the podcast? Like, I'm not getting a lot of engagement. And it's like, are people interested? And it's like, do they just not want to hear what my podcast is about and stuff like that? Like, and so I was thinking about like, how far do I take this? Do I quit? But deep down thinking about it, it's, have I tried everything that I could? And to me, no. So I'm going to continue to do this. But at the same time, I do love it, love it. And they say, do what you love, right? Do it for the love of it, not because of the followers and likes. At the same time, the more people see it, the better it'll help. So you just kind of want to, it's like the balance of life, man. It's, you just kind of want to take it in strides and see where it goes.
Yeah. If you, if, I don't know, Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk were present here and they were like, I'll help you. What do you need? What is what you would tell them? What is what you need to grow that audience?
If I would say just the engagement part of it.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like, I think when someone shares a story, the more people that know that story, the more connection happens because it's not about the story, it's about the feeling behind it. So I guess it's more about spreading the feeling of those journeys, those stories, those people that I have on my podcast and stuff like that. I think that's what is needed and stuff like that. Like you mentioned meditation. I've done a bunch of meditation to calm the mind, to clear the mind and make sure that I'm processing things correctly. But not just that, but like I've done a bunch of hypnosis and astral projecting training and stuff like that. And those things have kind of helped me understand how to make decisions, not just for my podcast, but in life as well.
How did you get interested in this kind of techniques?
That was when I was like 24 and I wanted to change my life. I wanted to try everything. What is something that's going to help me? And so I was open-minded to try things. Yeah. And so I actually did hypnosis first. That helped a ton. I love hypnosis because it really trains your subconscious mind, right? That little voice in your head that says you can't do it. It trains that voice. And that's why I love hypnosis, because that's where it's going to make or break you as a person. And then I got into astral projecting because I'm very sensitive to energy. I have experienced multiple scenarios of spirits and spirit like touching me and cutting me and making me bleed and stuff like that. So like astral projecting to me was a little bit easy to get into because of that connection of energy.
Was that coming from family too? Because sometimes people associate that with how we grew up. Like in your family, like anybody else have this type of ability?
Not that I know of. No, I think maybe it was because of my traumas. Like I was always internalized.
Yeah.
And so maybe that's why my energy level is a lot higher than other people. But no, I've always been very sensitive to energy, seeing spirits.
Trauma is a very, how can I express that? It's not, it's bad. It's terrible, right? It is. But I think it's also the door for other kind of things. And so I'm telling this because I was recently listening to the story of, Kurt Cobain and people who died very young. The famous Club of the 27, like the great musicians who died.
Sure.
They were very young. And all this kind of perception or sensitivity to energy, creativity, it's very linked to how we process specific emotions, in particular negative emotions. And it has a very deep effect on the brain, right? There were some studies that were very interesting to me because it builds some type of relationship between creativity, how creative someone can be, and how likely it's for them to experience trauma. And there is a high relationship. But there are some other factors at play. For example, the IQ, someone who is like very smart, but at the same time very sensitive, which is complicated because we usually develop one side more than the other.
Yeah. EQ and IQ?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think I have a strong EQ.
Yeah.
More than an IQ. Not to say I'm dumb, but...
But it's kind of natural, right? Like we all have different skills, strengths, and areas of improvement. That's how they call it in job interviews.
Yeah, absolutely. Trauma. Yeah. Trauma does. Creativity comes up from a lot of trauma.
Yeah.
Like you said. That's where everything. All roads lead back to slavery, right? So that's why hip hop came to be, is because of the trauma and the suppression of the Black community, and they couldn't express themselves.
Yeah.
Right. That's why salsa. Right. When you're talking about the African roots coming to the indigenous side, and bomba, the music of bomba in Puerto Rico, had the slaves communicated through music, so they could still keep in touch with their roots and stuff like that, and spread messages that way through music. So like trauma does, create.
And I think that this will be a very interesting exercise for people to do at home. Different types of music encourage people to different type of mindset or emotions. When I hear classical music, right, I feel great. I feel sophisticated, but I don't feel connected. Yeah, like very classy, like like drinking tea, with my pinky.
Yeah.
But when I hear other type of music, like you mentioned hip hop, or when I listen to salsa, it's very different. I feel connected. I feel that I'm a human, and not in this kind of fancy or sophisticated way when I listen to classical, in particular classical music.
Right.
Because even when I hear jazz, I can hear the trauma a lot in jazz. But when you listen to this kind of more popular rhythms like salsa, it's exactly that. It's telling you a full story.
Yeah, music is a great form of creating something in a raw form.
Yeah.
This is who I am. I'm exposing myself right now, and take it or leave it. But this is me.
But I think art is essential, and it should be taught at every single level, because I think art is exactly what transforms trauma into something beautiful.
Yeah.
And I would rather have someone creating great art because of trauma than hurting other people.
Yeah. Yeah. There's always a fork in the road.
Yeah.
You could either help you grow better in a positive way, or you could let that trauma affect you in a negative way, and down you go.
Yeah.
It's just, everything is based off decisions.
Yeah.
So you are deciding to be positive or be negative or anything in between, but it's all a decision. Just make a decision and go for it. There's a lot of risk could be involved. There's a lot of scariness that comes with it, that you're stepping over the line that you think is over the line. But to other people, it's not over the line. It's just the beginning, because it's all about perspective, right? That's why I love doing the podcast, because of that. You get different perspectives. You get to draw that line in the sand further and further out, so you're able to grow more.
People who are truly looking for impactful content, impactful conversations, they should give themselves permission to go and listen to what you've done. I
Thank you.
think that's a really nice mission.
I appreciate it.
And I think that's the kind of content I would always push for. It's nice to have a little bit of entertainment, but entertainment is going to help us just a tiny bit. The rest is going to be more challenging than that.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate that. That means a lot. And, I'm still working on new segments, for the podcast, not just me talking to somebody, but me talking to the camera, but in a different way and stuff like that. So there's always going to be new segments. I feel like I'm a creative person, so I'm not going to stop creating. I'm always going to find what's next.
Yeah.
So looking forward to it.
Now, Oliver, sometimes I ask guests to suggest something. Like, is there a book, a song, an album, a movie, any type of art that you can recommend for something that you like, that you want to share with people?
I don't read books.
Do you listen to books?
I used to. But you know what? So, I just got on Adderall because I can't focus. So that's why I didn't read.
Yeah.
So I'm still new to Adderall. So maybe now I can read, without being distracted, stuff like that. But one book I can't remember what it's called, but it's from Bruce Lee. And he wrote it. I can't remember what the book is called, but it's really insightful because it goes through the mindset of life. But he shows you in kind of a martial art way.
Interesting.
Yeah, I can't remember the book though. But that's one of the books I did finish.
So. I'm going to make sure to link that in the description.
Yeah, I'll see if I can find it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called. I think maybe The Art of Living or something. I can't remember.
That thing brings a lot of memories.
But, and then, if you're looking to make a change in your life, the secret is what did it for me. I feel like some people might look at The Secret and be like, oh, it's law of attraction, like this fairy tale thing that doesn't work. But the law of attraction is just as real as the law of gravity. Mm-hmm. And so it's up to you and how much you want to change in order to improve your life that it will affect you.
I think, I was listening to a definition of influencer, and usually an influencer, through the eyes of some people, is someone who I may think knows a lot, or at least way a little bit more than I do about a specific subject, right? So, for example, if you were an expert on, chairs, right? Just say something, you would be my influencer for chairs because I would trust what you're telling me. And I think it also depends on, this is so weird about people, but it really depends on who is telling the story, right? Usually figures with power will have more influence. That's why they are influencers. Nowadays, we tend to put that decision-making on people who are just good at entertaining, but that's a different topic. The point I wanted to make is that if you look at people with power, like real power, decision power, they believe, they practice, and they follow this kind of rules of attraction. They even fall into rituals and cults and things like that. And people don't understand how powerful that can be. I mean, powerful from the brain perspective, like getting that connected with someone, it's super, super powerful.
Yeah.
And I think people should at least give it a chance, right? Instead of just saying oh, that doesn't work. Well, try it first.
Yeah, some things don't take just one time, right? You don't go to a therapist and it doesn't work for me. You have to keep at it and trying different people, trying different, a few sessions and stuff like that. So just try. If you really want to make that change, if you want to stop complaining about what things that you have in your life and things that are going on in your life, then commit to making that change and stop complaining about it.
Exactly. Stop complaining like that. The last question I have for you, and I can't let this go. Amusement parks. You've never been to an amusement park.
Right, yeah.
That's your personal choice?
I just never got around to it. The only park I've been to was a state fair. That's not really a amusement park. I mean, they have rides and stuff. So that's the closest I've been to.
Yeah.
I lived in Orlando for a year when in college, and I still never went to Disney World, or I went to Universal City, like the City Walk. Is where the restaurants and stuff. It's the closest I've been to an amusement park.
What? Maybe we should have a challenge.
Maybe not. I've been skydiving twice. And so when I tell people I'd rather go skydiving than a roller coaster, they're like, what the fuck?
That's because of the videos where the roller coaster like falls apart.
No, it's just like, and I don't know. Like when you're skydiving, it doesn't feel like you're falling.
For 3 seconds, right? Like
only the jump. Yeah. Only the jump. Like as soon as you get off, it feels like you're falling, but then it just feels like you're floating in the air. With roller coasters, you're going down, you're going up, you're going down, it's spinning. I don't know. Like I feel like I would get sick.
Yeah, that's true. And I think skydiving is a little more challenging because you get more preparation. I think the suffering is extended because you get on the plane, then it starts going up, and you're like, "Oh God, what's going to happen? What's going to happen?"
Then you see other people go before you.
Yeah.
Good. What did I sign up for? You know? Yeah. But I love I love that I did it because this might be coming from a trauma response, but I love taking big risk. Yeah. And I was at a point in my life where I wanted to shake things up. Yeah. And so that's one of the reasons that reminds me of like 2 years ago that the lease ran out and I decided I'm going to live in my car. Yeah. And so I did that for a year. And because I was too comfortable in where I was and I wasn't getting anything done. And so I needed to shake things up. And so that skydiving, that was why I did skydiving as well.
Do you recommend skydiving? What are your recommendations for people? Try skydiving, try improv. What else?
Definitely do improv. I feel like everybody should do improv. It's a great communication skill. A lot of people are like, stupid, stuff like that. But like, it really is a good communication. I was the type of person that was really goofy and out of like control. Yeah. And when I did improv, I learned to control that craziness. You know what I mean? But in a healthy way. So improv, everybody should do some type of martial arts. I recommend every single woman, girl, to do jujitsu. It's just something for self-defense, and it's a great way to do it. I think, especially from my experience of teaching it and teaching self-defense classes and stuff like that. And 98% of fights end up on the ground. Yeah. So people who say that, hey, I don't want to learn jujitsu because I'm not going to use that in a street fight. Well, street fights end up on the ground mostly. Yeah. So you got to learn how to navigate that. So jujitsu, improv. If they want to do skydiving, they can, It's whatever's gonna make you take that risk in life.
Be out of the comfort zone.
Exactly. Whatever's gonna get you out of the comfort zone. What gets you out of the comfort zone will make you grow in life. And we're here to not just create, but we're here to live the best life that we can. And it's important to get out of the box because not just the sky, but the universe is the limit. And there's so much that people can do in this world before we leave this earth into a different realm.
It can happen at any time.
It's crazy. Everything happens for a reason. Everything is temporary. So take advantage of life.
I agree. And I appreciate all those words. I really encourage people to go and check out your podcast, Inspired Voices. I'm going to make sure to link the podcast in the description on this video. Oliver, is there anything else you want to
honestly, man, I really thank you for having me on. I feel like in this community, especially, I feel like we need more collaboration. We need to embrace each other's creativity. And I think you're a good example of that. I love our conversation. We could talk for hours, I feel like, and it just helps both of us grow. Let's lift the whole community together, not just I want to go up, no, everybody else can stay down here. The only reason we grow is because of our community. You can't do it alone.
Exactly. We need each other for sure.
Yeah.
We always do.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Oliver.
Thank you.
We appreciate it. And thanks everybody for listening to this episode. Again, Oliver from Inspired Voices, your host, Gabo from TAOL Podcast. Thank you so much and see you next time.